This is the Friday, May 11th, 2018 version of the Market Plus segment. Joining us now is Tomm Pfitzenmaier. Tom, welcome back.
Thanks, Laney.
Well, we didn't quite hit feeders there in the end of the broadcast portion, so let's make sure we touch on that today. In Market Plus, we lost a couple dollars compared to last week in the feeder market. Are we finally starting to see some of this large supply taking its toll on the feeder market?
Well, I think the feeders have got a couple things going against them.
Okay.
One is I think the trade in general is fairly friendly to the corn market, and higher corn prices tends to drive down feeder prices. And if I'm correct that this 120 cash trade in the fat market is probably going to work its way down toward 110 or lower, both of those are big negatives for the feeder market. So I don't see the feeder market falling apart, but I think you're going to continually see that the price of feeders drift lower here. Okay.
What should producers be looking at specifically for strategies? What would you be recommending to your producers?
If I'm a producer selling feeder cattle, I guess on any rallies at all, I'd be looking to find some way to either buy puts or hedge them off somehow. I'd be looking to be a seller. If you're a producer, somebody who feeds out fat cattle and looking to buy feeder cattle, I think you're going to be patient and you're probably going to have a chance to buy them a little cheaper. Okay, perfect.
Let's move on to cotton. What are you looking for support in the new crops?
I think it'll be pretty well supported here in this, just under 80. I don't see it falling apart a lot. There's some dry conditions, and particularly in West Texas. Export demand's been fairly good for cotton, and I would anticipate that's going to continue. So I think it's going to be well supported, and then we're going to watch and see how the weather and the crop condition ratings go as we, if this hot, dry weather in those southern production areas where they grow cotton persists, then I think you could see a little more up in cotton. It's not in the risk of pricing itself up if it gets much above 82 or 83, though.
That's really what you're looking for. A top end is 82, 83,
right,
even with some weather problems?
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on here and take some social media questions, because we have some fun ones this week as we look at what's been going on geopolitically and in the oil industry. So let's start here with John. And he wants to know, with the heavy rain, wet conditions, and rain in the forecast, do you think preventative planting and/or switching to beans will have any effect on the market?
Well, the standard analyst answer is it depends.
Of course.
If we can get something done in the next week or two by the 20th, 25th of May, then I don't think it's going to have much of an effect. If you start pushing beyond that, then I think you're going to start to see some acres potentially rolled into beans from corn. So that could be supportive for corn, could be a negative for the bean market. Traditionally, you can plant beans pretty well into June and still get decent yields. So I think that in terms of a negative for the bean market or a price supportive factor, we're ways down the road on that.
Okay.
I think
June really is when you're looking for that.
Yeah, and that prevent planting thing, everybody likes to talk about it, and things have to be really bad before farmers take that. And they've kind of adjusted the way that works too a little bit, so it's not quite as attractive as it had been. So I think that might be a bit of a factor too.
Okay. Let's take another social media question here. Bill in North Dakota, with the increase in oil prices, he wants to know, how high will diesel fuel go?
Well, I don't know how high others go, but I think there's going to be upward pressure on diesel fuel, and there's no doubt the distillates inventories are down below the 5-year average on the inventory. Demand, if the economy is strong, like it appears to be, that means industrial usage is strong. Trucks, tractors, all the people, everything that uses diesel fuel is going to be, the demand for it's going to be solid. So I would expect it to continue to work higher. I guess if the question is, should I be locking in some diesel fuel for summer or fall, I would probably be looking at doing that, yes. Because it's more likely to go up than it is to go down, in my opinion, over the next few months here.
Okay, so really looking to lock in those fuel prices or fuel needs now.
Correct.
Okay. Another one here from Tony in Manning, Iowa. We had, of course, the Iran nuclear decline this week. With President Trump backing out of the Iran deal, will that further hinder the ag trades?
I guess it depends on how you look at it. If it continues to push oil prices higher, that's going to continue to keep ethanol quite competitive, I think, and the blending demand for that should be pretty solid. So in that respect, I think it will. In terms of its impact on exports or any of that stuff, I don't really see it having much effect.
Why is it that we've had such a strong increase in oil prices? Is it the Iran deal? Is that what really led the market this week?
There's a whole combination of things. One is this OPEC, non-OPEC agreement to cut their production has been quite successful. They've been really hung together, Russia and the OPEC countries, to pull back their production. So that's been the big one. Obviously, demand worldwide, geopolitical demand's been quite strong for fuels. That's helped drive it higher. And then this potential reduction in Iranian exports is just sort of adds fuel to the fire here. So I know the Iranian one is going to be interesting because China, India, Turkey, for example, are probably not going to comply with this. They're going to buy Iranian oil anyway, no matter what we say. Saudi Arabia has said they're going to increase their production to fill in the gap. So I guess we're going to have to see if maybe the oil market hasn't gotten over its skis a little bit too much here and pulls back under that $70 level. I know some of the OPEC nations would like to see $80 oil. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm not sure if that's in the cards. I guess if the economy and global economy stays strong, maybe it is. Yeah, that's I don't know. I don't see that that's a hindrance for agriculture. It should be a supportive factor, I would think. Okay,
let's tread here just briefly into talking economics of the economy. First of all, what are Treasury yields?
They're right now. They're just. That's the big issue here, is they're bouncing, just staying below 3. We popped above 3% here recently. That's what we're trying to decide, is how strong is the economy, how strong is inflation. Mm-hmm. Does the Fed need to have 2 or 3 more rate hikes this year?
Because they didn't have one this past
this last one,
meeting,
but there's almost 100% chance we're going to have one in June from everything you read. And then is there a couple more in 2018? They've hinted that they're probably going to have a couple more in 2019. So you're going to start to see interest rates go up, and that's going to push yields up. Whether that is a killer for the economy, we're still at relatively low interest rates historically. If we're doing it because the economy's strong and everything's smoking along here like it's supposed to, then I don't know that it's necessarily a negative. Okay. And it does create better for retired people and those who are sort of dependent on collecting interest. It's a benefit to them.
Should we have any concern in the back of our minds that this is 2007 era pre-recession?
Well, I think you always have to have that. You know, it just doesn't feel like an economy that's gotten itself overheated yet. Okay. So I'm not. That's probably something to worry about down the road. I'm not too worried about it in the next 6 months to a year, I guess. Okay. All right.
Tomm Pfitzenmaier, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Delaney.
Join us again next week when we look to the skies for vital aerial applications, and Elaine Cubb and Walt Hackney will sit across at the Market to Market table. Until then, thanks for watching, listening, or reading. I'm Delaney Howell. Have a great week.